sure. You can go by section if you like. We'll be like friends of the bridegroom, friends of the bridesmaids, friends of the groom. Okay, yes, you got a question. Oh, it's you. Hello.
Yeah, hello again. How was it working on Steins Gate? That was probably one of the most well-adapted scripts I've ever watched in my entire life from Japanese to English, so... And your performance in Tokyo is just phenomenal, so I just want to know how that went and just a general idea of it.
Okay, first of all, thank you, first of all, for bringing it up, because Steins Gate is extraordinarily close to my heart. How many Steins Gate fans do we have? Not bad. Oh, hey, big boy, you like Steins Gate too, do you? Nice. Here's my hotel room, keep kidding. No, so for those of you that haven't seen Steins Gate, allow me to shamelessly plug it for a moment. It is probably one of the best shows I have ever seen, regardless of whether I've gotten to work on it or not. It would still be ranked very, very highly up there. And I don't know if anybody who's seen me doing panels before talking about, like picking favorites of any genre, like your favorite this, your favorite that, your favorite character. It's really, really hard for me to do because every character you play, every character you write, every character that you have some kind of relationship with, even if you're just, part of the audience, it's hard for me. They all become part of my psyche. I'm a little psychotic as an actor. It helps being psychotic when you're an actor. But you absorb all these different consciousnesses into your own because that's part of what you do as an actor. And I know this sounds very highfalutin and kind of ridiculous. You're like, really? You pretend you're a crazy man in a padded room making voices? Shut up, Taylor. But the truth is, I form a very profound relationship with all the characters I play. And thereafter, they become like one big arguing family at Thanksgiving. You know how it is. Where you're all like, shut up, no, shut up, me. And so like every time someone asks me to pick my favorite, I'm very reluctant to answer because I have so many, and I feel like they're all a part of my head. So if I were to say, Sebastian or Kyoya, I would go to my hotel room later tonight and be surrounded in my head by like 800 characters going, you're a bastard. So it's hard for me to pick favorites, but having said that, if I had to, under like duress, pick an absolute favorite show that I've worked on, just because of the timbre of my experience of it and the level of my involvement and how it changed me, not only as an actor and a writer, but as a human being, I know it really cannot be overstated how much I love Steins Gate. Steins Gate, for those of you that aren't aware of it, please treat yourself. I know this sounds like a shameless plug, but it is one of those shows that it is impossible to be unmoved by. It's just a really brilliantly thought out show. It's very character driven, it's very funny, it's very emotional, it's very real. It's about time travel, for those of you that happen to be Doctor Who fans. And this is a civilized place, so you are all Doctor Who fans in my heart. But Steins Gate basically follows the adventures, or misadventures rather, of this group of friends who discover by accident how to send text messages back in time in such a way that it starts screwing up the present. Timelines are jumped, things like bare facts are changed all the time, even up to and including like a character's gender changes because of a text someone sends back by a few days. It's a trap. It is a trap. The show goes from being kind of funny and lighthearted with just a little bit of drama in it, to about halfway through becoming one of the most severely gut-wrenching roller coaster rides of a heartbreak I have ever seen. Like it becomes very real about halfway through, and I won't go into more because everything hinges on what happens next, what's really going on. There's a lot of that. But my experience in working on it was this. I was given the show to adapt as a lead adaptive writer. Now, what a lead adaptive writer does means that I write usually about half of the scripts of the full show, but I write usually the first handful so that I'm, as a lead writer, able to set the tone for the rest of the writing team. In this case, I was joined by Patrick Seitz, who most of you know as Germany from Italia. Dear friend of mine, also happens to be one of the best writers in the business. He's just sublime at bringing characters to life. I can look at a Patrick script as an editor and know exactly who's talking without looking at the character name column because he's so good at making everyone sound distinct and like their own unique individual, which is a trick, believe me. So I got to write Steins Gate and I found myself getting a way that rarely happens when you write, because there's such a quick turnaround, we have to write so quickly that it's rare that I feel like I get to bring all of my bag of tricks as a writer to the process, because there just isn't time to really go, oh, well, I want to, you don't have months, you have days. So, but something about the show just really caught me, and the original Japanese seiyu's performances are just breathtaking, heart-stopping at moments, and I just really found myself getting into it. Patrick, likewise, got into it. He and I would call each other to talk about, well, what do you think we should do for this episode? Do you think we should do this? Go here? How about we change this up here? Whatever, maybe we'll pull a Doctor Who reference out of our butts and put that in here, whatever. Because there's a lot of beautifully done nerd references throughout the show, because all the main characters are nerds, like us. So you will know these people when you watch them. You will know them, because I know them. We all know them. We are them. And Patrick and I would become 12-year-old girls talking about the show. Oh my God! So, so I write the show. And the way the process works is I write about the first 6 episodes, they go to booth for auditioning, and then after it begins recording, Patrick and I are writing the rest of the scripts while the show is recording. So there's about 2 or 3, sometimes 4 months of overlap, where recording and writing are kind of happening at the same time. They're working on episode 6 in the booth, but I'm writing episode 7 at home. So I love the main character, Okabe, who is one of my, I got him, I understood him. The seiyu's performance is just amazing, and his journey is incredible. He is one of those amazing characters who's got this kind of Don Quixote thing going on. He's kind of a no one. He's just this kind of nerd who doesn't have a lot of friends. He's never really fit in. I can totally relate to that. And he's kind of, his coping mechanism for this world, he can't quite get his head around, is to play the part of this mad scientist who in his head is posed to take over the world one day, and he's fighting this invisible, completely fictional, evil organization that's trying to beat him to the punch, and he's got this whole little play going on in his head. And all of his friends kind of, this little group of friends that he hangs out with, they're kind of there because they really like watching him wear himself out. He's always a 10, he's always incredibly arrogant, and he's very verbose, and he laughs, and he just does some crazy things. And then this whole time travel thing begins taking place, and things get real, because there are consequences to messing with the timeline, as he begins finding out about halfway through. Desperately tragic things start happening on account of their messing about with the timeline, and the show goes from funny to ha to being oh my god, but the transition is so smooth that you're like, this is, oh actually no, I could have seen this, you're right, they've been playing fair, because they've been foreshadowing this in really subtle ways the entire show. There's a, I know I'm rambling, but bear with me. It's just that kind of show. There's a point, I have to use the F-bomb to tell this story, so those of you that are very sensitive, cover your ears. At the time, I was writing this, after it came out and everything like this, actually, there's a cliffhanger in episode 12, the middle, halfway through. The way episode 12 ends is such a mean cliffhanger. I mean, it's cruel. When it happens, you're like, I was with this guy at the time who was my partner for many years. He also grew up on Doctor Who, so he knew from cliffhangers. Right? We were old school Doctor Who. And I told him, I'm like, episode 12 has a wretched, fiendishly clever cliffhanger. You're gonna hate life, and it's gonna be 3 months before the rest of the series is out in English. Are you sure you don't want to wait to watch all this till we've got everything in? He's like, no, whatever, it's a cliffhanger. But come on, I'm a grown man, I can handle a cliffhanger. We watched episode 12 together, he looks at me, fuck you. Seriously, fuck you. And that's when things get real, right? So to give you an idea of how the writing process was, I was just loving these characters so much that I would just fill them with everything I had. And I would seriously, I didn't know I was going to end up playing Okabe. I had no idea. So as I'm writing these scripts, I'm like, I do not envy the poor son of a bitch who has to breathe life into these lines. Oh, it's me? Shit. So I had this, there's an episode 13 in the show when things start getting real. Okabe has this, and I know you know what I'm talking about, Okabe has this moment where he has, oh my god, I get chills just talking about it because the experience was so crazy for me. But there's a scene in which, without giving too much away, he is forced by just this crazy turn of events to basically, desperately, tears in his eyes, screamingly plead for the life of his friend, who he knows is in grave danger because he's seen what's going to happen. And he's having to implore, like, he's having to do this at peril to his own life. And you have to understand, he's this character that up until now has been like this very arrogant, like I said, his coping mechanism for dealing with the world is being that guy, the one who's like, oh, you're nothing, screw you, ha ha ha. You know? But now he has to get real, and so everything he knows how to do to get from point A to point B doesn't work anymore. All his emotional tricks, nothing works. All of that gets stripped away, just scoured away by the reality of what's going on, and he's reduced to this just screaming, crying husk of a guy, and he's basically telling this person, I'm nothing, oh shit, please just don't do this thing, and it's really gut-wrenching. You can hear the quaver in my voice that's not acting. Just watching the scene when I was writing the adaptive scripts, I started crying. I was just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And that's just one of many, many moments like that throughout the rest of the series. So when the time came for me to record that particular scene, and here's my good story, and then I'll shut up about this and we can move on. But no, thank you. I love talking about Steins Gate, as you can probably tell. So I was in the booth recording this particular scene, and understand, like, because of the writing overlap with the recording process, for about 4 months I could not get away from Okabe. He was just who I was, because my day consisted of going into the booth for 8 hours, recording this incredibly energetic and emotionally demanding character, and then come home and write him for another 4 hours. And then go back the next day, you know, watch, rinse, repeat. And because it's time travel and things like this, I would be in the booth going, what year is it, what day is it, I don't even, oh my god, what scene, which part, which iteration of this scene am I doing, oh my god. So when the time came for me to record that scene, his first true emotional breakdown, where you're like, oh my god, that really important line you have to cultivate as an actor between your sense of self and your sense of the character you're playing, completely obliterated. And in this rare moment of psychosis, I just was really in the booth crying and screaming and saying, no, don't do this, blah, 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 and I lost my mind. And Colleen Klinkenbeard, who is the show's wonderful director, God, I love working with her on this. She has such a skill with actors and the text, but she's like on mic going, honey, are you okay? I am literally in the fetal position in the corner of the booth going, yeah, I'm fine. She said, honey, I need you to, why don't you come out of the booth and, you know, have a drink, walk around, splash some water in your face, just come back in about 15, 20 minutes and we'll talk about the rest of the day. Okay. I mean, I was in shambles emotionally, and I felt so bad. I'm like, I did not mean to subject you to something so real. It's weird watching another human being you know have that moment, because I'm not a crier. I mean, I know I say that, we all have our moments, but I had not cried like this since I was a kid. It was ugly crying. Not like Demi Moore from Ghost, where there's just one tear down where she one of those. So I go out and I splash some water on my face, and I make some tea, and I'm just walking around. What's wrong? Colleen hit me. Like, I'm just trying to be funny about it. And so I finally suck it up, and I go back in the booth, so I'm like, I know, I've got to do all this again, because I can't. I mean, it was just, I lost my mind. We got to do this again. Walk in the booth, I'm like, all right, okay, let's do this. Colleen's like, actually, everything you just gave us worked. If you're okay with us using that, we don't have to record it again. I'm like, yes, please, God, use it. So if you go to watch Steins Gate for no other reason, and you should watch it anyway, but if you want to hear J. Michael Tatum have an honest-to-God mental breakdown in the booth, episode 13 of Steins Gate, you're welcome.